This is a song called RC Pro Jam.
All right, hey everybody, this is Nick from Exploring Audio. I'm here with Dan Davis at Magfest 2016, better known as an0va. How are you enjoying Magfest so far, Dan?
Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it. I want to talk to you about your song RC Pro Jam,
Sure.
which is probably, I would honestly say, my favorite song of 2015.
2015, last year.
Right.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
That's right. We
The-
are in 2016 right now.
Well, yeah, I love that song. I think the split is one of my favorite releases. I'm such a fan,
Sure,
as
thank you.
as you know. First question is, when you first started to write that song, did you already know that you were going to be doing a split? Did you kind of write it with that in mind, or did you have this before that came up?
Absolutely. Pete and I were like childhood friends for the longest time. And we always had the idea of doing the split, but we never wrote any song because we knew that we wanted to challenge each other. Because you know how the split works. I wrote a song, he wrote a song, and we were covering each other's songs. So there was 4 tracks, but both of us have always been very progressive, math rock, emo style musicians. So we knew like what each other's music sounded like because we knew each other for so long. So I intentionally made it something that I knew it would be really hard to play for him, but I kind of cheated anyway because I ended up playing guitar on the track. So yeah,
Right.
but I didn't give him the tabs or anything. But
You had to figure it out old school style.
he had to figure it out old school style. I gave him some tracks where like I isolated some of the channels. I think there was one part of the bass track that he couldn't like arrange. Just like there's so much stuff going on.
Right.
And like with the Game Boy, you know how like sometimes the bass can be the kick and vice versa. You're kind of working with sub energy. You're working with bass energy more necessarily than a kick and a bass. So he had me like separate the kick and the bass, and I think I sent him just the bass track at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so when you first started to write that song, what was maybe the first part or like the first idea that came to you? Like what song section maybe was the kind of one that like started it off?
Sure. This is kind of a weird thing about me is that I can't write a song that isn't chronologically in order.
Okay.
Every single song I've written has been written in that order. So like I can't make a new song unless I think of a good intro. It's something that like I know like is kind of whack to do as a composer, and that's probably why I release music so sparse because my friend kind of made a joke that like the an0va music schedule is like the Tool album schedule. like they don't release music ever, and that's like the same.
You're basically the Tool of chiptune?
Yeah, I am a tool of chiptune. I'm totally just a big life tool. But no, like I always write songs chronologically. So the order that you hear the song is how I wrote it. So I wrote that intro first, I wrote the next part first, and it's always just been like that too. And that's why I have so many songs that start off as just, I have so many, like a lot of people have loops that they never finished into fleshed out into full songs.
Me, for example, hundreds of unfinished
Every
loops.
musician does. I mean, every musician has unfinished loops, but I'm weirder. I have unfinished intros. I just have intros. So it's weird. I guess that kind of makes sense as like an EDM musician. You have a lot of intros and no drops.
Right.
But actually that doesn't make sense because everyone wants to drop first because that's the most fun part of the song. Like, yeah. So.
One thing about that song that I love is how many times you kind of subtly work in the, like, I don't know what you would call it, like the starting noise of the race. Like yeah, you like work it in not only right in the very beginning, but then you do hear it like throughout the song a couple times. I love doing that.
Yeah, I love themes and like purposefully, repeating stuff because repetition in a different context is always a cool thing to do, and it's just kind of like a cool thing to hear too. And the reason why I did that is because the song's called RC Pro Jam. It's like RC Pro Am, old school racing games. What do? It's red, yellow, green, and you just shoot out. So
It's such a great way to start a song too.
yeah. Well, it's actually funny because Paul Chippercrit, he has a song. I think it's called Civic Duty, off his Wordplay album. Starts off the exact same way. Starts off with bam, 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 and but he and I were both writing his song. He was writing his song, and I was writing my song around the same time. So it kind of became like a race, pun intended or pun not intended, a race to see who could finish their song. So like after my song came out, he was jokingly like, "Oh, you totally just like copy me," and I'm like, "Dude, you knew I was writing that. Like you knew we were both doing that." So yeah.
What guitar tuning do you play in for that song?
I play an open D. So does Pete Davis from Invalids. I think he plays an open E now, which is just basically the same tuning, but capo too. But he just tunes up. Instead of like tuning down to the open D, he tunes up to the open E. It's a nice tuning for tapping. The chord shapes I know very well. I probably know more about that than standard now at this point. And it works for Pete and I collaborating because he works in that tuning, and a lot of us have the same chord voicings because of that. And I think that actually adds to the consistency of his track and my track sounding somewhat similar, even though in context they're completely different. Like math rock and chiptune technically should never work, but we both have the same like aesthetic and how we compose songs. We have the same sensibilities and what we want out of a song. So I think that's what made that split work pretty well. So
cool. Last question.
Sure.
One thing that I love about this song in particular, and in your songs in general, is the balance between really different styles of music, even within the same song.
Sure.
Like with the opening of the song, you have like big chords, and you go into like crazy tapping, and then you go into like the chorus, which is more like kind of anthemic. And I want to know your thought process when you go into writing a song like that. Like, how do you balance out different, having a whole variety of things, but then also making the song work as a song too?
ADHD and depression. I don't know. I don't know. I just like a lot of music. A lot of the music I'm making now as different side projects, and for an0va, is actually completely different than the stuff we're hearing. I'm making booty twerk music. I mean, not even. That's a kind of weird thing to bring up because it seems like a lot of chiptune musicians, especially, seem to go to that EDM stage, and that's not necessarily me. I mean, every single person will tell you that, but I've always been an extreme listener to styles of music like that, and just never had an outlet to express myself in it. But I'm sure when I make something like that, I'll probably end up adding like a 5/4 section in a trap song or something. It's just how it works.
That's just how you are.
I mean, I feel like every single person has their own voice when they even write, not even necessarily their tone, but the way that they think and the way that everybody's perfect song is different. So
They're calling you. They're calling you.
I guess I'm going to go play a set now. Bye.
Bye.